When our dogs get stressed out, they are more likely to lunge, bark, growl on leash and give us a hard time on walks. But a lot of these things that stress out our dogs are things that we don't take seriously or we miss the connection. I'm talking about, for example, health, and it doesn't have to be something severe. It doesn't have to be a broken leg or something like that. It just can be a blocked joint. And that hurts or is at least uncomfortable. And our dogs might feel a little tense about it, and they just are not as easygoing as they usually are. They can also have a headache. That seems to be super difficult to diagnose. And if a vet is watching that who has a really easy time diagnosing headaches, I would love to chat because I have not met anybody who doesn't have a hard time with that. But it affects our dogs, right? And we might not be even aware of that. Another thing that we are often oblivious to and that can affect the behavior on leash tremendously, even if we don't connect the dots, is home alone times. And that includes a dog who is just whining a little bit when we leave and then waits in front of the door like this for 8 hours. That is a dog who is not relaxed when he's alone, and this is a huge stressor, right? Also, dogs who are left outside when they are alone for 10, 12 hours because then they can potty outside, right? So it's logical. But for many dogs, this is not a great choice because they cannot really relax outside. So what they do is they just either go crazy and bark all day, or they are just so occupied with chasing after every little butterfly that they get too little sleep. And if we are not rested, we get a little obnoxious, right? So we are having a difficult time, and it's the same thing for our dogs. They need their sleep, and they need a lot more than we do. So we have to provide them with the opportunity to sleep and to feel safe. And this is where the training methods and the just overall handling comes in. It doesn't even have to be just for the situation. Of course, if we want our dogs to be nice on leash, we have to train them nicely so that they feel comfortable with what we want them to do, right? But it's not the whole story, because sometimes people try their best in training situations, but they don't see everyday life as training, and that's where routine comes in. And that's where we see the dogs getting yelled at a lot. They just hear no and leave it and stop, and they get pushed aside and they get tugged on the leash or whatever. And if we ask ourselves, if you were living with a person who every time you load the dishwasher would come up to you, yell no, and shove you aside to do it him or herself, would you learn how to best load the dishwasher in their opinion, or would you just ask yourself if living with that person is actually a good idea? Our dogs don't have that choice. So we have to be really sure that they are comfortable in their living situation. And that includes how we treat them on a daily basis. And why is that important? Well, have you ever tried to learn something when you're stressed out, or do your best at work when you're stressed out? It's very difficult. When we're stressed, we get tense, we tend to overreact, we tend to have a really hard time concentrating, new things are pretty tricky to learn, and we can just not be our best selves. And it's the same thing for our dogs. We want them to do those incredible transitions, those incredible transformations from lunging, barking, growling to just being very calm whenever they see another dog and just walk past that dog. That's a huge thing to ask for our dogs because, in their opinion, the situation is just too much. And if we try to teach them when they're completely stressed out, they will have a lot harder time than if we get rid of the stress first and then work on the actual thing, right? So what I'd like to ask you to do today is sit down and really try to open-mindedly assess your dog's life and see where your dog gets stressed out and how you can make that better. Not everything will be resolvable, and it's not necessary. We don't need to prevent every little stress from getting to our dogs. Just the huge ones, and as much as we can provide relaxation in between, the stress doesn't get too much. So it should just be an up and down. Little stress, calming down. A little stress, calming down. And if it's that way, our dogs are balanced and they can learn as best as they can. And that's where we can get the fastest and best training results there are, right? So if you want to have a dog who learns quickly what you want, because for him the strategy works, but we want something different, try to provide him with the circumstances that make learning possible and easy for him. That's it. I wish you a lot of fun training, and we'll see each other next time. Bye.